All right, this is Zubair on behalf of V Electronics, and in this video, we'll be talking about trade and absolute advantage. Now, when it comes to trade, if you have two countries that trade with each other, we often have to consider something called absolute advantage. Okay, now absolute advantage has to do with a country using fewer resources, such as minerals, natural resources, okay, so on and so forth, okay, compared to the other country in question to produce goods and services. All right, so let me write this down over here. So this has to do with absolute advantage. Okay, and when it comes to absolute advantage, we've talked about absolute advantage in the past, where factors such as environment, climate, okay, the type of soil that you use, okay, to grow something, for example, okay, the um, type of pay that you offer to your employees, okay, the wages that your employees are ready to work for. In certain countries, employees might be offered less in wages compared to other countries, for example. All right, so on and so forth. So these factors add up, just like factors for aggregate demand. And when they add up, they offer an absolute advantage to a country when it comes to producing a certain product, or a commodity or a service. All right. So this has to do with things like efficiency, productivity, okay, so on and so forth. Okay. So in general, if a country if a country uses less resources, country uses less in resources, less in resources or minerals compared to another country. All right. It has an absolute advantage. This is for production, by the way. So this is for production. It has an absolute advantage. All right. Now, when it comes to absolute advantage, as I mentioned earlier, it has to do with productivity and efficiency. If a country is more productive and more efficient when it comes to production of goods and services, it has an absolute advantage over the other country. Okay, in terms of numbers, okay, let's say, for example, country A, so I'm going to say CA, okay, produces a certain good. Let's say it produces oil. Okay, yeah, when it comes to production for oil, okay, when it comes to producing oil or production of oil, okay, this has to do with hours per barrel. Okay, how many hours or how much time does it take for a country to produce a barrel of oil, for example? So this is time frame for production. So hours per barrel, hours per barrel. Okay, and when it comes to hours per barrel, we're talking about 1 hour, for example. And when it comes to country B, okay, the second country in question, because obviously we're comparing two countries to explain the theory of absolute advantage. Let's say country B takes about 4 hours or 5 hours. Okay, let's say country B takes 5 hours to produce the same product, such as oil. All right. Or let's say it takes 15 hours to produce, okay, the same amount of oil. All right. Now, in this case, country A has an absolute advantage over country B because obviously it takes 1 hour for the country to produce 1 barrel of oil, which means it's more efficient, more productive. Okay, it can produce more in a given time frame compared to country B. So it has an absolute advantage over country B. All right. Now we can look at another commodity, and in this commodity, or for this commodity, okay, country B takes 1 hour to produce, let's say corn. Country B takes 1 hour to produce 1 barrel of corn. And let's say country A takes 20 hours to produce 1 barrel of corn. So in this case, country B is more productive compared to country A, as a result of which country B has an absolute advantage when it comes to production of corn. Country A has an absolute advantage when it comes to production of oil. Country B has an absolute advantage when it comes to production of corn. All right, so that would be it for this video. On behalf of B Electronics, this is Wade. Have yourself a great day.